Hello, I'm Jessica Shearer, Early Childhood Programming Specialist at the Ontario Science Centre. In our previous video, we learned about ask, test, repeat, and the importance of inquiry, exploration, and iteration to learning. In this video, we'll focus on communication, looking at how STEM and student-centered play and inquiry-based learning can foster the development of communication skills for all students. Communication is a focus in kindergarten as young students develop their vocabulary, question-making, and problem-solving skills, all while making sense of the world around them. Communication is not just part of the foundations of language, but also a key attribute within math processes and inquiry. Take a minute to pause and think about what communication looks, sounds, and feels like in your classroom. What opportunities do you create to support all students in developing their oral and nonverbal communication skills? How do you leverage STEM, play, and inquiry in your classroom to develop communication skills? Questions like these can help us as educators think of intentional moves when creating our classroom environments, routines, instruction, and assessment practices. The learning space is a third teacher. Creating a learning space that centers on STEM, play, and inquiry has a positive impact on students' communication skills. The best way to create that supportive learning environment? With intention. The intentional choice of texts and materials is critical to language development in kindergarten. Texts that spark interest and curiosity also encourage reflection and expression. When choosing texts to promote STEM, play, and inquiry, consider who the students are in front of you. Selecting culturally relevant and responsive texts affirms students' identities and sense of belonging. We know when students see themselves represented, they are more willing to engage in learning and to share their feelings, thoughts, and ideas. Selecting texts that enrich students' imaginations and provide the initial engagement of inquiry is pivotal to inspiring students to demonstrate their creativity and problem-solving skills. One way to encourage communication is to model think-alouds. Read the text and stop at the problem of the story. Share your own wondering with a sentence starter that students can mimic. I wonder how we could help with this problem. I can, or I would. Give time for students to think about possible solutions they might have, pair with a partner to discuss, and then share with the whole class. Think, pair, share gives students an opportunity to build the comfort and confidence needed to share in larger group settings as they first consider and ideate on their own, then engage in a partnered experience before sharing with the larger group. This strategy also provides students with an opportunity to question and explore different perspectives from their peers. To further develop problem-solving skills in communication, provide an invitation to learning at a center or makerspace that students can explore through questions. For example, what is the problem? How would you solve this problem? What could you create to solve the problem? Open-ended questions provide multiple entry points and limitless possibilities, creating a safe engagement opportunity for students. STEM tasks with open-ended invitations to learning also provide a chance for students to problem solve, create, discuss, test, iterate, and rediscuss their thinking. All steps that help reinforce a growth mindset, as discussed in the second video. A growth mindset is important for students developing STEM skills as it can help them persevere through problem-solving challenges. Careful consideration of materials is equally important when creating invitations to learning, working through the inquiry process, or stimulating discussion. Math manipulatives, loose parts, and natural materials encourage students to explore and engage in play and inquiry while representing their thinking in a hands-on experience. When creating STEM tasks and inquiries, think about which materials can create sensory experiences for students who may have limited or nonverbal communication. Encouraging students to self-select materials for their STEM tasks or inquiry promotes engagement and the flexibility to explore. It's also a great opening for discussion. Why did you choose to use the wooden sticks? What will you use the sticks for? When you're conferencing, take part in play too. When you take part in play and inquiry, it's a chance for students to see you create, struggle, and model your growth mindset and language. It's an entry point to name and label materials, actions, and processes so students can echo or mimic, broadening their vocabulary, deepening meaning, and illustrating ways they can express their knowledge and understanding. Communication is not just expressed orally, it's also nonverbal. Remember, not every student is ready to communicate orally yet. That's why giving students the chance to express their thoughts and ideas in a variety of ways is crucial. While STEM provides students with hands-on experiences to express their feelings, thoughts, and ideas, STEAM reminds us of the importance of the arts in the process. Think about ways to incorporate visual arts, drama, dance, and music so students have many ways to communicate. For instance, after reading texts about celebrating uniqueness through song, begin an inquiry about musical instruments. Include parents, guardians, and caregivers in this inquiry by asking them to share cultural music and instruments. Listen to this music and encourage students to respond by dancing. Discussions about instruments, music, and feelings can be interwoven. With this knowledge, students can then engage in a STEAM activity by creating an instrument from recycled materials. Students can draw plans prior to building or after they've created their instruments. Once the instrument is built, students can compose their own song with their instrument, celebrate by having a class performance of songs. Capturing moments like a STEAM inquiry learning journey or a conference with students is important not only to make the learning visible for students and their parents and guardians, but also to support ongoing assessment to guide instruction and next steps for students. Pause to reflect on your assessment practices. Ask yourself, how do I document learning, especially when focusing on communication? How are students included in the assessment process, such as self-documenting? Are there digital tools that could be used to foster or assess communication? In the kindergarten curriculum, pedagogical documentation refers to the process of gathering and analyzing a wide range of documentation of a student's thinking and learning over time, often in collaboration with the student and their parents or other family members. The insights gained form the basis for determining next steps in a student's learning. You want to capture progress throughout the STEAM learning journey, especially as students communicate their thinking in a variety of evolving ways. Pedagogical documentation needs broad examples over time to ensure you can show growth, even small steps, in a range of ways. For example, this could mean capturing how students have defined what a word means to them through scribed thoughts on a Freyer model, a loose parts representation, drawings, acting it out, or words at the start of a discussion. If scribing or making anecdotal observations, you can use different colors to indicate different moments in the learning journey. For instance, blue could represent initial communication with subsequent ideas represented in green. This strategy helps to show strengths and areas of growth, creating insights for possible next steps. You can make learning visible for students by having a growing learning wall with inquiry process headings or a more organic mind map of the learning. Invite students into the documentation process. This helps to mitigate biases you might have as a documenter. It also honors students' identities and voices as they share their joys, what they're proud of, and even what they're trying to problem solve. All this fosters metacognition as they self-reflect. You can also leverage digital tools to support both student communication and pedagogical documentation. Check with your school board to see which digital tools are supported. When introducing digital tools to document learning, remember to integrate digital literacy lessons and to co-create learning goals and success criteria for safely using digital tools. Assistive technology supports, such as Boardmaker, are another thing to consider. These can be used to create visuals and interactive digital stories or games students can engage in. Assistive technology helps make a more inclusive learning space, one where English or French language learners, minimally verbal and nonverbal students can participate. Throughout this video, we've explored how STEM, play, and inquiry support communication. Here are some educator considerations to think about when planning instruction, as well as collaborative and independent learning opportunities to support students with communication. Number 1, intentionally choose culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy texts where you can model, label, and name to build vocabulary of all students, including English or French language learners. These texts can be a springboard for STEM activities. Number 2, purposefully choose materials that provide a variety of opportunities for students to communicate their feelings and ideas. Loose parts representation, hands-on learning experiences, and incorporation of the arts enrich both STEM and communication skills development. Number 3, Make learning accessible through multimodal pedagogy and diversified strategies, like pointing to visuals and assistive technology. Finally, document and make learning visible in a variety of ways, including digital tools, and use methods like conferencing or small group activities and discussions. Communication is essential to student success across the curriculum. By exploring a variety of means of communication, building language foundations, and engaging in intentional play, inquiry, and STEM, students accumulate fundamental tools that will support them throughout and beyond their academic lives.